everybody, I wanted to take a quick minute and put together this video that talks about the parts, the bits and pieces, basically all of the hardware that goes into making Unbound such a unique race. Any other race, basically pack my bike, grab a couple bottles, shoes, helmet, kit, glasses, and I'm ready to go. However, Unbound, as I'm gonna take you through here shortly, is just an absolute league of its own in the amount of equipment that it requires. I chalk it up to four main reasons. One, the ground on which we are racing. It is rough. It is like riding a pogo stick on a crazy, rocky, rooty road. It is sharp. It is notorious flint hills. Two, the distance. We're doing 200 miles. Obviously there's a 50, 100, 350, but you know, this is the original Big Daddy 200-mile race. You can deal with some inefficiencies doing a shorter race, but here at Unbound, you want to make sure your bike is in proper working order. Number three, going into the pit stops, you want to have everything at one arm's reach. You want to make sure you can pick up the stuff that you need and are ready to go, because it's not like you're going into a traditional gravel race where you have a buffet in front of you and coolers and food and all the things. You got to make sure you have your own things as you are self-sufficient. And number four, the Formula One style immediacy that we have created with this race. You need to be ready to roll. Hear that? That's a train. So, a little scene setting. Here I am in an Airbnb garage. We're in Emporia, Kansas. This is home to Unbound. Preparation started probably 5 weeks ago, as that is when I started working on bikes. From there, we're gonna go from working on bikes to packing to Hico, Texas for Gravel Locos, and we drove up to Emporia where we are now, as opposed to flying home in the interim for that 2-week period. We literally look like we are on a Himalayan adventure when we show up at the airport. We have 2 bike boxes, both of our sets of luggage. We have our 2 kids, 2 car seats, a pack and play, their bags. It is absurd. I wanna say all said and done, we packed 9 pieces of luggage. So, for starters, I go through both bikes. I'm the resident home mechanic. Went through Laura's bike, changed the entire drivetrain out, went through my bike. It was in fine working order with relatively new parts there, and went off to Hico. The weekend kicks off with a shakeout ride on Friday, and then this really great home-cooked meal at the Hico Volunteer Fire Department, and then off to a scorching hot Saturday in Hico. We've experienced a little bit of everything over the years in terms of weather, but this was just, it was a Wild West showdown. We had the Dutch Mafia up against the Canadian Poutine Mafia. Crazily enough, I finished, I wanna say 13th or 14th, which slotted me in as the 2nd American overall, which is a real big testament to just how international the race has gotten. Scorching hot all day long. Nothing felt better than the mandatory stops and a little bit of ice down the back. Laura had a smashing race, finished 5th. Really, really good time in Hico. So from there, getting this monstrosity of a Jeep Wagoneer, drove up to Emporia, and here we are now. So let's talk about the inanity that is the pieces required for Unbound in this contemporary age. One, tires. This is known as a tire shredding event. I've been using Rene Hurst Endurance Plus tires for a half-dozen years now. I've had great luck, I've had great confidence in these tires, especially with that really strong Endurance Plus casing. So, in preparing for this race, I put on new tires on my bike. I put new tires on Laura's bike. I also have brand new tires on a spare set of wheels, crazily enough, that I brought to this race. Again, this race is one of a kind in that I'm bringing a spare set of wheels, something that I wouldn't do at any other race. From there, I'm also bringing spare tires. All said and done, in addition to those 6 new tires that I have 8 spare tires that I brought along. That might sound absolutely ridiculous, but I have a variety of widths. I'm bringing the 38 Barlow Pass in addition to a 44 Snoqualmie Pass. 38 Barlow is if we get that peanut butter, thick, chunky, awful mud that makes a drivetrain and wheels impossible to turn over, so I have a slightly narrower tire. In 2021, I ran a slick tire in the 44 Snoqualmie, and I want to say I was the first person to do that. Now it's quite a bit more common. You see a lot of slick tires just because it is such a long, straight, fast course. Dynaplugs. There are 2 types of Dynaplugs of which I am a huge fan. One, this bad boy, which looks like it's 2 plugs, but truth be told, you can unscrew both sides and you have 4 plugs total. I also like this one because it has the bigger doodad, the bigger plug that can go into the bigger holes. Big fan of that. The other one that I'm a huge fan of is the, I wanna say a Dynaplug Air. Yank it out, screw it in. If you have a flat, you stick it in the tire, and then these tiny hole there will inflate your tire back up to the proper pressure, so long as you can get by with just one plug. So I'll be racing with those. Certainly important for training, so as to not take along like half dozen CO2s with you, is a pump. Lezyne is my favorite pump manufacturer, so I use this bad boy, have it in my pocket, or hydration pack or something like that. Bring that along with me as well. You won't get very far on shredded tires if you have no tubes. So I swear I probably brought 7 tubes here with me. I realize this is complete overkill. I bought 2 more today, the Tubo Lido, the absurdly light ones. All said and done, yeah, why not have a half dozen tubes? Sealant, I don't travel the races with sealant, but here I am coming with my favorite orange seal. Shoes. I use gravel shoes. I use mountain bike shoes in 99% of races, but this is one of those races that you're gonna be out there for, call it 10 hours. And if you think of the rotational weight of a slightly heavier gravel shoe as opposed to a slightly lighter road shoe, if it's gonna be dry, forecasted dry, then the new thing to do is put a mountain bike cleat on a road shoe. Ideally, you're not walking very far, so you can get by with that. Bring 2 pairs of shoes. I show up at any bike race. I'm gonna bring 2 water bottles. When I come to Emporia, I wanna say I have 10 water bottles. Again, this speaks to the self-sufficiency and going into pit stops. So there are 2 pit stops. I'm going to start with 2 bottles. I go into the first pit stop, I grab 2 more bottles. I go into the final pit stop, I grab 2 more bottles. I also need to make sure that Laura starts with 2 bottles and that she has spare bottles for her bikes. So making sure you have a ridiculous number of bottles is critical. Let's continue on the topic of nutrition. I'm a big fan of the untapped flasks. These fit 5.5, almost 6 untapped packets in total in each of these. So I'm basically in this age of hypocarbization. I'm starting with 2. I'm gonna grab 2 at the first pit. I'm gonna grab 2 at the second pit. That's the convenience of this bulk nutrition. I mean, all said and done, I wanna say I'm bringing a gallon of maple syrup with me. So here we have 16 ounces. I brought 4 of these. Bear in mind, this is a 2-week trip between the 150-mile Gravel Locos training and then a 200-mile race. So the bulk untapped, and then here we have the bulk Maple-Aid. This is the hydration drink. You can portion it out with this great bubble up here. So I brought 4 of these, 2 of the grape Maple-Aid and 2 of the lime Maple-Aid. Of course, a couple waffles. Sate that hunger while riding. Hydration packs. I really don't like racing with hydration packs. That said, start with one, grab one at the first pit, grab one at the second pit, make sure Laura starts with one, make sure Laura has the spares. I want to say we have 6 hydration packs in total. Absurd? Yes. Realistic that we'll use them all? Yes. The next place to store stuff is either your top tube bag, your bento box, or your underneath top tube bag, the wedge. Recently picked this up from the good folks at Moose Pack. This is one of the wedge bags. You can fit a bit of nutrition in there, squirt, chain lube, that kind of thing, spare CO2, snacks, whatever it's gonna be. I brought this one, I have a larger one, and I have 2 top tube bags. Again, ridiculous? Yes. Realistic that I will use 4? No, but it's good to have the options, so I love showing up to Emporia knowing that I have the type of stuff, the tools, the spare bar tape, the spare sunglasses, all of the things to make sure that I am ready to go for a bike race. It is ridiculous the age in which we live. Here we are racing bikes and preparing in Emporia for 2 weeks. I used to show up at any other gravel race on a Thursday before the race, and here we are 2 weeks ahead. That has something to do with having our family in tow. That has something to do with the fun and the festivities and the circus that is Unbound. It's great to be in Emporia and see the town the week before and then see it just blossom into what it is in the event week. Oh, last thing. This was number 4 on my why we bring so much stuff. And this one is one that I'm really not a fan of. Musette bags. We're at the point at which people are literally not stopping. I recently picked up that tip from Lawrence Tendam. He said that's what happened at last year's Unbound. You go into the final pit, you're waxing your own chain, you're lubing your own chain on the go. You grab a musette. If everything's going great in your front group, well, having musette bags is the new normal. That's all I got, folks. That's the end of my video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you have a great race if you're here at Unbound. And if not, enjoy the coverage. Bye-bye.